to the Fairfield County Council Budget Work Session number 4 on this day, June 11th, 2026. At this time, I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda. The motion is second that we approve the agenda. If there's no questions, all in favor say aye. Let the record show 7-0. Now we have invocation by Vice Chair Caldwell.
Let us pray. Father God in heaven, we come to you this day. Thank you for your many blessings that you've bestowed upon each and every one of us. Thank you for considering us, that we rose this morning to continue to do the work that you put before us. Father, we ask for your presence, your guidance in this budget session. Let it be what you would have it to be. Let each and every one of us consider why we're here, what we do, and who we do it for. Let us also consider that each one of us that you selected to be here today on this dais will consider each other's, our thoughts, our opinions, our feelings, and that a modicum of decorum and class be considered in our deliberations. We ask for these blessings and all blessings in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Okay, now we're down for open discussion. Mr. Carpenter, you have the mic.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, you have in front of you the budget, which was reviewed on second reading on Monday. This is really just an opportunity for the council to ask questions towards the budget and to have discussion amongst members of the council as well as appropriate and is needed to maybe give guidance or direction to staff as we go towards third reading and final reading at the end of this month for the budget. So again, the budget has not changed from what was approved on second reading. I know there are some questions that were sent out regarding certain aspects of it. I'd be glad to try to address those as council members see fit. And then just an opportunity to have open discussion on the budget, any nuances, tweaks, or changes that members of council would like to see.
Any councilman wish to ask a question? Swearing.
Mr. Carpenter, you and I had discussed about the K-9 thing. Would you explain that to the employees?
Repeat that. I didn't hear your question.
Mr. Carpenter and I had discussed about the K-9, the money that is in this year's budget, just for the $5,000 for the K-9s that they did not use, being just moved over to this year's budget coming up July 1. This is money that the K-9 unit raised, and it was put over into the sheriff's budget, but they didn't use it. And now the K-9 unit is a 501c3, and the money can be put into their account, and we just want to slip it over here, not adding any more here or here, just move it over from point A to point B. But I wanted Mr. Carpenter to explain that.
Yes, Ms. Swearingen. So money was allocated in the current budget for the sheriff's K-9 unit, and that was money for some medical care and food, about $5,000 total. Now, we can't take that money from the sheriff. The Constitution, state law limits our ability to address a sheriff's budget midterm. We can only do that in the context of a county-wide reduction in spending. So I can't go into his budget and move money out. But council could allocate to a 501c3, as we do with other outside agencies, money that would go towards whatever purpose the council wanted. That would be adding a new agency to our list. But that's the way council would need to do it, is you would need to allocate those funds. It wouldn't come out of his budget, but it would go to them, and then his money, I don't believe he's requested that in next year's budget anyway. So it's not there currently. So that's how we'd have to do it, is we would just have to amend the budget to add $5,000 to this 501c3, and then they would be like every other 501c3 that we support.
But it really wouldn't be spending any more money. We just, because they didn't spend it this year, we would just put that $5,000 over in the July budget. I mean, it's not like
But we can't really carry that forward. That kind of expense we can't carry forward. We'd have to add it to the next budget. And so it'd be a $5,000 increase because the sheriff did not put that in his current budget for next year. So
Well,
that part of it,
How do we do that?
you would just, either council would guide me to add it, or you would make a motion to amend the budget and add $5,000 to that, and then it would go into the council vote, and then it'd be added that way.
Well, can I make a motion that we do what you said?
Well,
What's the new 501c3, what is it?
It's for the K-9 unit that,
Because the sheriff's office don't have a K-9 unit no more.
yeah, but this is money that the K-9 unit raised this year that was put into there. It's just really getting them.
My understanding, Mr. Pauly, is it's the K-9 Foundation that I think, I don't know if Missy Jennings is the lead of that 501c3, but it was the K-9 Foundation that raised funds specifically for the K-9s when they were part of Fairfield. So it's basically the foundation gave, I think it was like $15,000 this past year for the K-9s, and they spent some of it. I don't know if they spent $10,000, but the request is that the foundation be refunded $5,000 that hadn't been used this year.
And it was their funds that went over there. This is what they raised. And I'm just asking that they be able to get the $5,000 that they raised, however we can get them the $5,000 that they put over there to start off with.
In other words, just give them their money back.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, get their money back.
They want their money back.
Yeah.
Not giving another 501c3 $5,000 every year. They just
No,
want
they
this one
just
time.
want this one time. Just
So
one
why
time.
won't the sheriff give the money back?
Well, why won't the sheriff give them the money?
I've had discussions with the sheriff's office, and again, I'm not trying to speak for the sheriff in this. Their foundation has gone inactive. They're resurrecting it at the moment. So right now, the foundation is the entity that was holding that extra money, the $10,000 or so, in that. They're in the process of getting it resurrected, he told me, and they've got a new chairman that's appointed to that. So that might help with that aspect of it. I think his perception was that when they went to a statewide agency, that money raised for animals in Fairfield County should stay in Fairfield County versus going to support animals in any other part, of the state. So that was my understanding of the sheriff's position, was that money was raised to support Fairfield County dogs, not dogs in the whole state of South Carolina. And that was kind of the difference in opinion, as I understand it.
But we don't have any dogs now.
No, ma'am, we have no dogs,
Yeah,
and
but-
there's no immediate plan to get dogs.
That's right, because $5,000 is not gonna get a trained dog.
No, ma'am.
At all.
500,000 maybe.
Well, yeah, that much, the chances of getting one are probably slim and none, but this is the money that they raised, and all they're asking for is the money the $5,000 that they raised. That's all they're asking for. Just let them have their money.
So I can make him, I can adjust the budget to reflect that if council wishes before third reading. So that would be in there, and that would then be drawn into your attention that it's in there now, if that's the desire of council, that I could do that.
Do we need a motion?
Well, this is a work session.
Well, can you just
Well, I
do
mean,
that?
yes, ma'am. Basically, generally, what I try to do in something like this is, if I don't see a lot of significant discussion against something, then I'll take that as, generally speaking, the county wants me to do that, and so I'll move forward with that. So that would be the way I would respond to this. I don't see really negativity coming from
Well,
y'all.
you can't vote here, so
It's not-
it needs to be brought up at a council meeting, and then we can cast a vote.
Or do you have a problem with it?
I ain't giving my money back. It was raised for Fairfield County.
And also, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Ms. McDaniel has let me know she's going to be here in a few minutes, and she'd like the opportunity to address the council as well, since they weren't able to make it last time. So she should be here in a few minutes, she said.
Fairfield County ain't got any dogs, Dougie.
Anyone else? Next question.
I guess I'll go next. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me preface, my questions by saying I'm not attacking any departments or any individuals. I'm really looking out for, the budget is probably the most important thing we do as a council, and I'm looking out for where our money's being spent, where your taxpayer dollars are being spent. So that's my sole purpose for being up here right now. At the last workshop, Mr. Carpenter, last week, there was a discussion when the coroner's office was presenting their information, and there was salary information that the year-to-date at that time was $126,000 in salaries. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the adopted budget was 126, but we were at 140 year-to-date. And I asked a question about that, and then the answer had something to do with systems issue between HR and finance, and I really didn't understand what that was. So can you clarify that for me, please?
Absolutely. And first of all, please let me make this clear. There are no issues between HR and finance. So it's not a matter of departments at all. They work very well together. But in the past, as council knows, we are rebuilding the way we do a lot of things, and budgeting is one of them. And in the past, we did not include HR in the process of building a budget for personnel. And they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be part of that. So this budget reflects what we call basically, using the position budgeting module, which has been part of our application software for years. And now we're using it, so kudos to staff for finally taking advantage of resources. But basically what that does is what we should have been doing all along, which is looking at positions from the actual cost to us for that position and then budgeting appropriately. So the previous year's budget, we didn't do that. So we had basically captured a figure that was almost certainly, because it was first put in March and maybe updated into May, there was not a complete year's budget. So it didn't reflect a full, and we just kind of carried that forward. And now, so as we use position budgeting, in a number of departments, we're starting to capture the full cost of those positions. And when we do that, we budget for an entire year. Even if we think, well, they're probably not going to fill this for a month or 2 months, the way you budget properly is you make sure to cover all your possible expenses. You don't pretend something's not going to happen, because then if it does happen, then we're explaining why we went over budget. And so personnel is one that you always are supposed to budget full and carry forward. And then ideally, at the end of the year, if you didn't spend it, then that's good. That's carry forward. That buffers you and goes into the general fund, drops down for that. So that's kind of the answer for that.
Good, I appreciate that. I understand the use of new modules in the systems we had, and I'm getting a sense after doing this for a little over a year now that there have been a lot of things that could be improved with the way we do things in this county, and that's an example, so thank you for that. Now, are we pretty much good with that throughout the whole budget right now, as far as, having that module for all the departments?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, thank you, thank you.
Mr. Carpenter, are you going to create like a motions list so we can, as council members, go through at the next meeting and I guess one by one, either in favor or not in favor, and strike it off the list to send to the budget?
Yes, sir. That's the way I have handled budgets in the past, is when we have discussion and it turns out that there's some changes that some or all the council would like to see, because the budget's already out there. So I don't have the ability really to suddenly start changing the budget on my own. So what I would do is come up with a list of motions to amend the budget on third reading that y'all would see, and then you would discuss and go down. So if it's, we want to change this item or that item, then I would have motions prepared for you to do, and then you go down and maybe one item, maybe 20 items, whatever. But that's normally the way is you go ahead and you amend the budget to change to reflect those changes.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.
We still have the contingency funds, do we not?
Yes, sir, we do.
Do we have enough in there to possibly, if something comes up, do we need to add to it or leave it as it is?
I don't believe we do. I think we've got a very robust contingency fund.
Okay.
So I don't see that that's a need. I'm not a huge fan of parking a lot of money in contingency, but there are still times when we're going to need that.
I'll just ask the question.
Yes, sir. I think we're good. I do. Yes.
Well, you feel it, okay. Mr. Capel.
on the tail end of Councilman Gobach's corner discussion. I am, for the record, I'm making a recommendation that we give the coroner's office the $25,000 to purchase another vehicle.
Okay.
I understand that this meeting is for discussion purposes, so there will be a lot of recommendations or disapprovals or not approving, that sort of thing to be placed on the record.
Yes, sir.
And that is my first one.
Okay.
Would that vehicle be considered, because one of my questions is, at the council meeting on Monday, your presentation included 1.9 million for capital. I don't think I've seen an itemized list of what adds up to that 1.9. Would this vehicle be in that, or would it be part of the vehicle lease
It'd be
program,
part of the vehicle lease program.
which is separate from the
Yes, sir.
capital?
Yes, sir.
I have another comment. My second comment is about COLA for the county's employees. There's been a discussion recently and today as to whether this would be or not included in the budget.
Currently, the budget does include COLAs. It includes, again, a 4% for anyone making under 50, 3% for anyone making under 75, and 2% for anyone making over 75.
Say that again, please,
Yes,
for
sir.
slow riders.
Yes, sir. 4% for anyone making under 50, 3% for anyone making under 75, 250, and then 2% for anyone over that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Follow up to Mr. Bell's question, Mr. Carpenter. There is a personnel contingency for merit. It's in the general operating budget, $313,000, 746. What is that for? And I guess it's part of a bigger, my feeling of what you're doing is you're taking care of your employees. I mean, you've stated that publicly several times. We can't afford to have a lot of turnover with key people. So I think that's a good thing to do. I'm trying to understand where that's baked into the budget. Mr. Bell just mentioned the cost of living adjustment, so I got that part. I understand there's this merit contingency, and I know you have some plans or thoughts there, so can you explain what that would be used for, please?
Yes, Mr. Goldbach. So, again, one of our struggles is we lose good current employees to better pay. We've got a number of employees that say, I wish I could stay, but I just can't justify it. So this is the beginning of a process. It'll probably take 2 to 3 years to really get where it needs to be. But the beginning of it is the creation of an actual ability to evaluate all employees appropriately for the job they do. We do not have a mechanism or in place that allows us to adequately evaluate a public works employee compared to an EMS employee, compared to a building maintenance employee. Completely, totally different jobs, but we have the same instrument that we use for all of them. So we're going to have to come up with, so the first part, so from basically with approval of this, if council sees fit, from probably July to December, we'd start working on the creation of the beginning process for being able to evaluate employees. Then that would allow the employees that are actually excelling in their field a mechanism to get a pay raise for doing a good job. It is not something that would go to every employee. It would be something that would be managed and controlled. But the money you were referring to is the money set aside to start being able to do that, to provide as appropriate. Again, I was talking with one of our department heads, and he's got 5 vacancies now for people going to better paying jobs in the private sector. And, we've just got to stop that. It's great to bring new people in, but we've got to stop losing the people we have. So that's the beginning stage of that. That's that money is baked into the budget that way.
Thank you. So it's a performance-based
Yes, sir.
system. And that was another question I had relative to HR systems. think I understand that we don't have job descriptions for all the jobs that we have. We don't have a real robust performance review system. First of all, is that the case? And second of all, can we fix that within our own, within your organization? Or do we need outside help that needs to be budgeted for that?
I guess the answer is maybe. So first of all, we do have job descriptions. And one of the things that we started doing when I got here is every time a position goes up for posting is we have to review the job description first. So the current department head or the outgoing department head, if it's them, any directors that are over them, administration and HR, looks at the job description, doesn't need tweaking, doesn't need adjusting to where we are currently. Right now, we've been doing all that in-house. I don't envision bringing a firm to come in and rewrite all our job descriptions. I think we can handle that aspect ourselves. Sometimes where you need something outside is to come in and tell you what that job translates into on the open market. And that's something we don't necessarily have that understanding of what the market looks like in Fairfield County versus our competition. Sometimes it's another county. If you're a truck driver, it's going to be all the construction going on and all the trucks that are doing them. So it's the private sector there. If you're EMS, it could be another county, but it also could be a private ambulance service. So we're not there yet. We're actually looking at the pay bands. A couple of years ago, we did that, and the issue with that in doing that is we did not have funds segregated to actually implement it. And now we're 2 to 3 years behind that, so we really would probably need to start over again with that just to get it where it is in the last 3 years. But anyway, to answer your question, you know, that's how I would see that happening. Did I see any?
I just want to put a clarification on the record, and I don't know how much research has been done by other council members when it comes to coroners' vehicles and whether or not they research other counties. I've researched other counties in the last couple of days to talk about coroners' vehicles. And to put on this piece of paper here that they have to use their own vehicle, and it would escape me why the county would allow an employee to do so. There's a coroner's vehicle that sits in the parking lot of the coroner's office. They have access to that vehicle. Every assistant coroner have access to that vehicle. This particular individual lives a good ways away and can drive up to that location as well and get that coroner's vehicle. So the county has never made any assistant coroner use their own vehicle. There's a vehicle on the premises. I know of one assistant coroner that might use their own vehicle because they do not want to use that vehicle, and they choose to use their own vehicle. I think from a county standpoint, an insurance standpoint, I think it should be a regulation, some kind of policy, that if they're responding to a coroner's call, that they have to use the county coroner's vehicle to respond to that call.
Drew?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Pauly on that, especially since other counties don't do that, and we've been, I think, been through this for a number of years, this same issue. But anyway, my question, the sheet that you handed out a minute ago, other capital budget request, one of them, cameras. The first one was cameras in. No, I'm sorry, that isn't one. Well, what I want to ask you, are these, do you recommend all of these or some of these you don't?
Yes, sir. These are all the recommended ones.
By you?
Yes, sir, by
Your
me. So this is
okay.
what's been in the budget really
Okay.
for a little while now.
Yeah, and, we discussed, I know I missed the last one, cameras at the recycle center. Is that on? I know there have been incidents at recycle centers where some of the employees had to go inside to escape being attacked from irritated customers for whatever reason. And so, and I know I think we've had county officers on occasion there, but I just wondered if that was in consideration, just because of, you know, they do have a difficult job, and sometimes it's tenuous out there, so.
And Mr. Roof, absolutely. We're, this year, one of the plans we haven't talked too much about, but it's time for the solid waste plan to be updated. We're required to update that every 10 years, and it's hitting that time. So we're going to be updating that plan, and the expectation is that would also look for us putting cameras in all the facilities. They do need them. Pretty much anything we operate as a public body needs to have cameras anymore. So wherever we are, we need to have cameras, wherever we have citizens and employees, and in situations where the cameras can be used to protect people. So first we're going to do the plan, and then again the cost of that. So that may be a next year kind of thing, but it's coming. It's got to. And if I may, I think I saw Ms. McDaniel in, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Ms. McDaniel, you'd like to say anything to the council? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vic and Ms. Burrows, or Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Burrows. I think this might be one of the first years that we've submitted a budget request, but this is also a time when we do a lot more with our citizens and keeping them informed than what has been done in the past. We have one employee that worked for us, Ms. Irby, and oftentimes she needs supplies, and that may be unique to the office. Sometimes we need to advertise, particularly when we're having constituent town halls or other meetings, to try to inform the constituents of things going on at the state level, or if I'm trying to get information. So the positions that I hold, one being the representative for Fairfield County and the other currently chair of Central Midlands Council of Governments, just knowing what the citizens need. Because those of you who know me know that I work for the citizens, and I try to make sure that I'm aware, and then I can make them aware, the citizens, the constituents aware of what's going on the state level and how they can be impacted. Sometimes we have meetings, we pull people directly from their jobs to the meetings, and sometimes it would be nice if they had some water and maybe some snacks, so that they would come straight to the meeting so we could get the kind of information that we need. One of the largest meetings we had was the one with Scout Motors, where the middle school was almost full, and somebody had to donate water because we just didn't have a budget. So we're trying to submit a budget this year, asking you all to allow us the small amount of $5,500 for office supplies, advertisement, promotional services, and food supplies. And any that is not spent, as you're aware, it would go back to the general fund of the county. And sometimes when we try to plan events, we have to negotiate, like with the school district, so we don't have to pay a rental fee. And I think the last event we had, they wanted us to pay a fee, but we didn't have money, so we contacted the chairman and the superintendent, and they allowed us to go ahead and have it. So if you guys would give us this consideration, we would greatly appreciate it.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the council, we do have 5,000 in. I'm not sure if I cut you 500 or whatever, but I do have 5,000 in the budget for those items. You know, and as I would always say, if it turned out in the course of a year that something really came up unexpected, then we would work with you, as we always would, to make sure that it was covered. But basically the request is in the budget for $5,000 for office supplies, promotional supplies, and food supplies.
Thank you, we appreciate it. That's it? Okay.
No, I was just going to thank Annie, thank you for, I want to appreciate everything you do for Fairfield County, because I know you help us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Carpenter, this is just for need to know. On the capital budget request for the firing range, originally it was $25,000. Now it's increased to $40,000. Could you explain what the additional money is?
That's actually just kind of a note to ourselves, is we've been using 25,000. Doesn't need to go up, have costs risen? So we kind of made a note to ourselves is that most of that cost is going to be more internal costs of moving dirt and things like that. So we don't really have a firm cost for that. It's not like it's something that was bid out. So that really, that 40,000, that's just kind of a note to ourselves, is that going to be enough? Or do we need to at some point look at that and find some more money? So that was what they requested originally, was 25.
Have we found a location for this? No.
Still, I think looking maybe toward the old armory, but again, there's issues with that may not work. So I don't know that I've got a firm location from the sheriff yet on that.
Can I suggest that out there where the, y'all said we got 18 acres or something out there on Ashford Ferry Road where the trash thing is that an acceptable place?
Right now, the variance has to be 2,500 feet from any residence, so we'd have to look into that. And if there is a residence closer than that, then they would have to sign off on a variance saying that they would be okay with that.
I don't think there's any, that's out there in the bushes.
The recycle site in Blair?
Yeah.
There's a house right literally across the street on the corner.
But 2,500 feet, how far is that? If you got 18 acres, you could put it on the back side of it.
2,500 feet, and it's about half a mile.
Oh, how many miles is an acre? I mean, you got 18 acres.
We can look into that.
I mean, I just,
Yeah.
you know, it's sitting out there. Okay.
On the capital, Mr. Carpenter, I don't see anything for the clerk of court, one of our favorite subjects here, and the vault door. I think, I understand there was a quote for unsticking that from the wall and getting a new lock, so we can take this outside this meeting. I just think it's important that council is aware that I'd like to meet with you and possibly Ms. Belton about, you know, that solution and figure out if we need to have anything in here before we vote on the final budget for next year. So we don't need to go into details today, I don't think. but-
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Can we find out who signed off on that door?
Well, of course, the courthouse is by the state constitution, the clerk of court is the entity that is responsible for the courthouse. The county council budgets the funds that are used to operate it, but once those funds are budgeted, it's the clerk of court who controls basically that building. So with the former clerk going out of office, new clerk coming in, it's not unusual that a new office holder will want to do some things different. So new office holder coming in wanted to do some things different to the interior renovations that had started under the previous clerk. And that was one of the changes that were added at that point.
But there had to be a builder to do it. Somebody had to use a nail and hammer or whatever you do to put it up there. And then somebody had to approve that wall was correct. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, as far as correct, I mean, it was to code, yes, ma'am. I mean, so,
Well,
I mean, it
who
was
said it
signed
was?
off as a change order to the construction project, yes, ma'am.
Well, who constructed it? Ray Charles could see you couldn't shut the door and open the door when you built the thing. Who actually hammered it up there?
I'll get that for you. I don't know who exactly did it, but whether it was the contractor themselves but I'll get that for you.
But if the contractor did it, is that not on his dime to fix it?
Not if we told him to do it that way. If we told him to do it this way and then we decide we want to do it that way, then he's going to charge us again because he didn't do anything wrong.
Who told him to put the
Well,
wall
it
up?
would have started with the clerk wanting to make changes in her office. That's where it started. I mean, staff didn't go and say, hey, let's do this, but we were asked to do it, and the clerk, again, has that authority within the context of that building to do things like that.
I would just like to know who did it.
Okay.
And why they did it that way, okay?
Mr. Carpenter, President Day, is that included in the budget as a holiday? I got a note on that.
I don't know that it is. I generally defer on the calendars to the clerk and the council to set those. So whatever they tell me is a holiday, I put in as such.
I just received a note on that.
Okay?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes, sir.
I recommend that you, the clerk of court's office, and Ms. Karen Daltrey, and any other council members that may be interested in having that meeting concerning the issues that we have at the clerk of court's office, i.e. the door, and then bring the solution back to the council.
Okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carpenter, when we was talking about the victims advocate's car,
Yes, sir.
is the understanding that you gonna give her a used car, or is she gonna get a newer car? Which,
My understanding was that we were going to give her one of the newly used cars, so a used vehicle, but one that was still in very good shape. So that was my intention for that.
but does she have the money in her budget for the new car?
She does not generate as much as the office costs us. So we would have to transfer those funds in from the general fund into the victims advocate budget.
And I'm seeing down here about the new EMS vehicle. How many new vehicles do we have for EMS done come in? Because we done had 2 sightings of some new ambulances out here, so how many we have now?
Where's Tim? Tim, can you give an update on the new vehicles?
Good afternoon, Council. To answer your question, we currently have, in our request, 2 vehicles. One's a new ambulance, and one is a replacement vehicle for our captain, who is our shift supervisor. This vehicle that's for the shift captain or the shift supervisor is fully outfitted with rescue tools for auto extrication, for water rescue, low-angle rescue, things like that. Here in Fairfield County, since the fire department's only manned with full-time employees from daytime hours, Monday through Friday, historically, Fairfield County has kind of depended on our staff to have that capability. That capability is to have those items ready, available, because we don't know of the status of a volunteer that could be coming to us. Currently, the vehicle that we have has over 168,000 miles. And to replace that particular type of vehicle, it would have been $270,000. To me, that just was not feasible. To me, that just was, I felt like we could spend the money in a different direction, in a better way. So the option that I had submitted in for my capital request was to downgrade that vehicle from what the industry calls a light rescue unit, which is more so for, this thing's got roll-up doors, pull-out stuff, things like that, that unfortunately only gets used 25% of the time, but we can use we could take those savings from that vehicle and apply it to this new vehicle and save the county over 100,000, if not more. We've been doing some new research last day or so as well after our last budget workshop, and we should be able to actually bring that cost down as well.
I didn't ask about, I asked about how many EMS, the actual ambulances have you got do, not the.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Mr. Gass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we replaced 4 administrative vehicles last budget, or this current budget cycle. We have on order, since I've been here, since 2023, for fiscal year '23, 3 ambulances were ordered. 1 was in fiscal '23, 2 was ordered in fiscal '24. Those, we just finally received 1 of those last month, because it takes 3 to 4 years to get an ambulance. So when we are asking for a request for an ambulance, it is because the standard right now is, unfortunately, the time frame is anywhere between 28 months to 36 months to get one delivered. So we have to stay ahead of our ordering, which also helps us lock in the price now versus the price what will be, because prices are steadily going up.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, did we order one from last year for the upcoming years?
Yes, so we've done a remount ambulance. We went that direction to save money for the county. It saved over $125,000. That unit is currently up in North Carolina. We are expecting that unit to come to us in August of this year when it comes back.
So how many are running now? How many EMS
Yes.
vehicles are you
As
got?
far as
running?
ambulances go, currently, right now, we have 8.
8 running right now.
Correct. And of that 8, I would only consider 3 of those as frontline ambulances. And what I mean by frontline ambulances, those are ambulances that got less than 100,000 miles on them.
So you have 3 out of the 8, and how many of the supervisor vehicles you have also?
So currently, there is a main supervised vehicle, and then there is a reserve vehicle for them. They have to switch out when the main is going into the shop for any type of maintenance. So that takes them out of that vehicle, so they have to get into a different vehicle. The backup vehicle has a significant amount of miles on it as well. It is approaching 180. Those 2 vehicles were bought within 2 years of each other, if my research was correct on what the previous department head had completed. So we're wishing to try to move away from that type of vehicle because it is way too much for what we do.
Tim,
Yes,
how many, okay, you've got how many ambulances? 8 ambulances?
yes, sir.
How many other vehicles do you have that are trucks, things like that, that are driven?
Yeah. So again, we got 8 functioning ambulances, 4 admin vehicles, and 2 vehicles for the supervisor. And the 2 vehicles for the supervisor, again, are over 150,000 miles on it.
Okay, I'm agreeing, but I do.
Okay, I apologize, Mr.
I do
Gass.
believe you need these things, but I'm just trying to figure out where we saving money at, because you said you was trying to save money on some things, and I see here where, I don't see the truck part, I guess that was in the other budget for the truck, but I'm looking at the ambulance that we was asking for the $429,000.
Yes, sir. Yep, that will be a new ambulance that won't be delivered for 3 years
For
plus.
3 years from now,
Correct.
yeah. But previous, we have any on order right now?
Yes, sir. We got 2 more on order. They should be coming in at the beginning of next fiscal year. So they were inspected by our staff last week, and they're getting upfitted now to be ready to be delivered to us.
So we have two coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna put in one for every year until we catch up to what
Correct,
what
yes,
we're
sir.
looking for.
Yes,
And I'm good with that. I'm just trying to figure out where we're saving money at from EMS. And also, you know, I don't make it not known that I'm still talking about this gym equipment.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
$25,000 gym equipment that I frankly don't think we need to be using right now, because you're talking $429,000 for an ambulance. You know, I think we need to cut money somewhere where it could be possible.
Absolutely,
You know,
sir.
Gym equipment is not gonna save lives. And I'm just telling you, I just don't, you know, it's just not good. That's
Yeah,
just my opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr.
So,
Gaston.
but, other than that, I do think you need some of what you're telling me. But also, all these directors and stuff, we need to see about curving and saving some money on the other end. This is not like Christmas. We need to save some money on things. And that's all I was asking, what needs to be done, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, just follow up on that. So are you maintain 8 ambulances in stock? Is that what you try to do? Is that the-
So,
And then when you get a new one in, is there a market for the oldest one, with the next one out? So what do you do there?
all right, so our model for Fairfield County is 6 stations, okay? We are only budgeted for 4 of those stations, okay? So in order to have an ambulance at every station, I had to have 6. That's not having any issues with anything else. Well, unfortunately, ambulances do break down. Ambulances do have problems to them. So typically, you would want to keep anywhere from 4 to 5 spare units. What's happened is we've not had any decent spare units, so our mileages have completely went out of control. I mean, we got one truck with over 300,000 miles that we're running as a frontline truck. You know, we are spending an exorbitant amount of money on maintenance. We would hopefully to see savings in our maintenance area once we have newer fleet. The problem is, again, these ambulances, it takes 3 years to get them. Once they are at the end of that life cycle, the chassis really isn't any good, but the box is, which is why we also do the remount. That's why we've done 2 remounts already of the vehicles to save. Instead of spending, you know, $400,000, we're spending $220,000. And we've done that twice so far. And, you know, we do have that option to do that again this go around. Instead of doing a new ambulance, we could do a remount to where we would only be spending close to the $429,000, and that would also get us that replacement for the captain's vehicle as well. That could be a trade-off that we could take and push forward. We are still working, we've been working hard on those numbers the last few days. It takes a little while for the vendors to get back to you. But I feel very confident that we could take and accomplish the remount and purchase the captain's vehicle for that $429,000, which would then also decrease the lead time when it comes to getting the vehicle, whereas now it will take 9 months to have that vehicle remounted versus taking up to 3 years.
What's the lifespan on the remount that you like?
It's basically the same thing.
Is it good or bad
Yeah.
or kind of halfway?
Yeah, so there are some pros and cons, obviously. You know, you're taking a box that has been currently used, okay? But these boxes, when they're built by the manufacturers, especially the ones that have been bought previously, these are patient care modules that are built to last upwards of 20 years. So they are made specifically to be able to remount 2 to 3 times. Previously, the leadership that was at Fairfield County EMS prior to my arrival didn't believe in remounting. You know, they just, nope, we're just going to discard them and get a new one. I just don't think that's the most fiscal way to do it. But we presented the new one as an option for us to be able to, if we needed to take and look at decreasing that overall cost, we could.
So with this new service, the captain's car, truck, whatever.
Yes, sir.
When you get this new one, the old one will go out of system, or you're gonna keep it on system? Or
So again, I've had some discussions with Mr. Carpenter when it comes to possibly seeing if we could find a way to surplus one of these captain's vehicles to the rescue squad.
That's what I was just finna say, because the rescue squad needs a vehicle.
Absolutely.
A couple of them done talked to me about it, and I think we need to look into the rescue squad and what they got. I seen they system, and all their trucks are old, and they are asking for some captain vehicles, and the good service truck that they'll have will be good to pass down. And we need to look into the rescue squad, getting some new vehicles, because they do a lot.
Absolutely.
The
We
rescue squad does
couldn't.
a lot.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of things we can't do without the rescue squad or the
Yeah.
fire department.
But if you've seen their fleet lately.
Yes, sir.
It's ridiculous, the fleet for the rescue squad. And I think we need to start on that as quick as possible.
But yeah, we would completely be open to making sure we could transfer that vehicle over to them.
And that sounds a little better. We can get y'all vehicle, but I think it needs to go to the rescue squad, because their fleet is awful.
And we had that conversation this morning.
Okay, well, we on the same page, because they need the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all so much for the help.
Okay.
What is the life expectancy of a chassis? I mean, maybe 3 years, 5 years? Typical, I know it varies. depending
Yeah,
on how many
it varies. After 5 years, all the data shows we're starting to spend too much money on maintaining them. And that's one reason why we've also are doing everything possible to switch from a diesel engine to a gas engine. Historically, gas hasn't done too well when it comes to being idling, but the new advancements that Ford has made with their gas engines for these ambulance prep vehicles has been phenomenal. And it also allows our current county shop to take and actually work on them, since they don't have a diesel mechanic. And so we are saving that money there. So again, 5 years, that's when you want to maybe move it to the backup role, to where it could have another 2 years or so of a lifespan, and then start that process over again.
And I just say, I do like that remount option for the cost factor plus the time frame on delivery.
Absolutely.
Back in service, that's
Yes, sir.
big, yeah.
Mr. Pauling.
Chairman, Mr. Carpenter, I see Mr. Robertson here from Public Works and Mr. Vance here from Parks and Recreation. And I don't know if they just here listening or if they need to speak to council, but I don't want to hold them up if they got things to do and they want to address council. I would rather for them to go ahead if they need to address council.
Mr. Pauly, I asked some of the larger departments to be here if they could, just in case council had questions of them that they were best able to answer. So they're not here to present, they've already presented, so.
Mr. Gobach.
Mr. Carpenter, one thing that needs to be looked at is our fee schedule. We have a new animal control ordinance, 851, and there's a new registration fee in there, and it doesn't show up on the fee schedule. But I would also suggest that somebody goes through that ordinance 851 to make sure that all the fees under animal control are consistent with the new ordinance, and even to the terminology that's used, just so there's no confusion.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Goldbach, to your point, that was a mistake. No fees were put in, as you know, there's been some transition, and that just didn't get done, so we will have that in before the third reading for council to look at.
Anyone else? Mr. Groove?
One other on the capital request, on the magistrate's parking lot, 129.9, and the estimated 200,000, is that from, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Ruth. So last year, we put in the capital budget to redo the parking lot, and the figures we used were a couple years old. So when they started looking at it, there was no way they could do it for the $85,000. But we started doing surveying and things like that with that money to get it preliminarily done. This is what the current estimate is. We've put a little extra in it to, just in case it goes up on us even more, to try to get that whole parking lot just finished and resurfaced and something that isn't a hazard for anyone walking or driving through it. 200,000, yes, sir. Well, hopefully, yeah, it's still not gone out for bid. That's still estimates.
I had, they're in the category of other contractual or professional services. I understand because of our strategic plan, we have to do a fire analysis. We're doing an interstate interchange analysis, and maybe one or two others. But I see in the county council has 185,000 for this, and, well, for that category, and general operating has another 200,000 for that. So that's 385,000 total. That seems like way more than we need for the studies that I'm aware of.
And that's why we do this. We moved it over to the administrator's budget, but it didn't come out of the council's budget. There should be a little bit left in there so council has the ability to do something, but it shouldn't be that much. And so that was something that just when we moved it out of council budget into the administrator's budget, it stayed in there as well, so we can take that out.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carpenter, you and I had a previous conversation, brief at the most, about a Fairfield County constituency efficiency representative. Would that be within a particular department? And do you have any idea if you were to establish such a representative for the county, for all districts, would that be within the budget? And how would it?
It's not currently in the budget, but again, it's always possible to create something. A position like that, I think some have referred to it as an internal auditor maybe, or along those lines, or is it more like an ombudsman who deals with the public's concerns? More an ombudsman. Okay, so an ombudsman then would really one of two places. It could be in my office as the administrator, or some places maybe put it in the clerk to council's office, and it's part of that. But it wouldn't be in any other part that I can see, and probably the best place would be the administrator's office for that. Yes, sir.
Explain that position you're talking about.
Yes, sir. So an ombudsman is generally the person who is tasked with solving problems. So when a citizen has any issue, the ombudsman office is created to reach across departments, across council, administrator, and find the answers to that. Right now, they generally come to us, and we're doing the same thing, but an ombudsman 80–90% of the time could answer those questions as well. How do I get a permit? How do I've got a pothole, you were supposed to, cut this tree didn't get cut. Things like that y'all generally get called. So an ombudsman handles that. It's normally in a bigger county than a county our size, but what they are good at is cutting across the boundaries of different departments. And that's all they do. So it generally is less likely to fall between the cracks when you have someone like that.
Well, and I agree with you, a bigger county, yes, but I think, you and Jonathan, that's what we pay you for, to take care of those problems. And with what Mr. Stevens presented last week with the new technology on how to do all that, I don't think that needs to be another position that we just create to fund that at the moment with a county our size.
What you guys?
Mr. Carpenter, I see here that for the detention center, the contract for the kitchen, so that means that we're going to start, instead of paying a nutrition that we have now, we're just going to start, I guess, bidding it out or making a company come in and feed the inmates and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so we're currently putting together a proposal that would go out on the street for bid for services to come in and provide not just management, but supervision. So we only do it 5 days a week from 9 to 5. That would give us 7 days a week, 24/7 coverage, 365 days a year of a person on staff. It would give us access to the full range of dietitians that we're supposed to have by law to make sure our meals are approved by a dietitian. And it would also, a company coming in would assume responsibility for ordering, for managing and maintaining the equipment and everything else. Currently something which we have struggled in the past with. So yes, sir, that is currently in the budget.
Yeah, okay, that's a great idea. I think we should have went to that a long time ago, because I think we was losing money on that situation. So I think that's a great idea for us to do. Thank you.
Ms. Swearingen.
I had a call today and somebody asked me, how much money are we paying for the gateway signage? Which I couldn't answer. And does that going to be Winsboro Blue Granite, or do we know?
Well, currently the recommendation to council from the A&H committee was to build those monuments, and those were about $600,000 roughly to build the monument, then whatever costs maybe to get electricity or things like that to it. So that's coming to council as such. Council may choose not to do that. You may choose to put that money in some other project, or even to set it aside into a contingency fund within that, and then give council the ability to decide in the course of the year, do you want to build it or go some other direction with that? I don't know, Gene would know if it's spec'd out, the blue granite. I would certainly hope if we build it out of stone, we did it with blue granite. Did it? Yeah. Okay. So it would have the Fairfield granite in it as well. So that was how it was designed to go. But it is currently in the recommendations from that committee to council, so it's still in there.
So, that's $600,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we better use that $620,000 somewhere else rather than a sign right now?
That would be council's decision. Obviously, this is a recommendation from a group of citizens to you. There are certainly other things you could use it on. There's other projects we've looked at in districts and things like that. At the end of the day, I didn't change it because I feel this is a decision council's got to make. So I left the recommendations to you as such. I'll be glad to talk to you my thoughts on any of them, but I felt it was a decision council should make on, did you want to accept their recommendations or did you want to adjust it in a different direction? So you could absolutely.
So whatever else do you have that we could use that $600,000 more efficiently than a sign?
I wouldn't say efficiently, because a sign is a good thing.
I know
But
that.
certainly I would say that, we could put some money into it to at least stabilize the roof and things like that on it so it doesn't continue to deteriorate. We've got some of our own facilities. Our Ridgeway Rec Center could certainly use it's part of a bigger plan, bigger project. We could put some money into that. So there are a variety of things, and so what maybe the solution is council puts that in contingency for A&H, and then through the year, y'all can discuss, where do you want to go with it? Do you want to do the monuments? That's fine, it's there. Or do you want to redirect it in a slightly different direction? Or part of it here, part of it there? That's y'all's call. That would be the easiest way to do it, is just move it into contingency, and then y'all could figure out really what you wanted that to go for, or to go to the signs.
Ms. Swearingen, Mr. Carpenter, this gateway signage, I think this has been a topic for years, and I think a lot of individuals wanted to see some kind of gateway signage coming in to Fairfield County. Don't get me wrong, I agree that we do have other issues as well. I think we have already spent money doing research on this signage and having somebody to develop the actual image of the sign. I think every other county you go into, you always see, welcome to Chester County, welcome to Richland County. So I think to promote Fairfield County, and since we have already spent money and spent a lot of time getting individuals to work on this gateway signage, I think it'd be in the best interest of Fairfield County to move forward.
Well, it is currently in the budget as a recommendation as such. And again, when it comes, to that, that's one of those that I'll defer to the council's will on that. But certainly we did spend money designing it. It's a beautiful design. It'll stand out for sure on the interstate.
That's money from A&H, right? Anyone else?
Mr. Carpenter, this is I guess, some budget ideas that one of the council members brought up, but since I see it, I will ask the question. Give me just a second, I lost my place. But it was, oh, here it is. Fairfield Road Program, how is this 2.2 million spent, and who decides on how it's spent?
And Ms. Paul, that is the CTC. So that is the money that is collected from 7 point some cents of the gas tax that goes back to the County Transportation Commission. They decide how that money is spent. They are appointed by the delegation, not by the council. They're independent of the county, but we manage their funds. So we have to manage their money, but we don't choose. Now, they have, when Mr. Burrows was working closely with them, they agreed to go from 10% to 20% helping county roads. But the remainder of it is still mostly going into paving dirt roads, and they make that call. We can, as a council, you can go and ask them to consider something different, and they can consider it. But at the end of the day, they make the decision, and that's how. So recently in Columbia, when they were going through the whole modernization of the Department of Transportation, that was one of the issues that came up because they were talking about giving all the state roads to the counties, but there was a strong desire to still keep the CTCs. So that died, thankfully, because if they gave us all the roads and we didn't get the money, then we'd be in a far worse shape than we are even today, without a doubt. But that's a long answer to your question. Yes, sir.
Mr. Burris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of this decision-making is based on mileage of the road, how many houses is on the road, those types of things, correct?
Yes, that's based on the priority points book as they get resurfaced for each district. Yep. But we did, like you said, we did get them to agree to a 20% to go to the worst roads that we have most calls on to resurface.
I'll just make one comment about the roads, Mr. Pauly. I'm on the, let me see if I get my acronym straight. I'm on the Central Midlands Council of Government Transportation Committee, Subcommittee, and the Rural Transportation Committee. And I've been through several meetings, and to me, it's just, my head explodes because of all the acronyms and all the plans. But I'm actually, in fact, our new chairman for the subcommittee is Mayor Sloan Griffin, and he's very much in agreement. We need to understand how this money gets from the feds, the state, and sometimes the county, down to the guys on the road actually doing the work, and has to go through this morass of groups and plans. But I'm working right now to actually try to understand this. But the CTC is one of the acronyms in that whole mess. So it's very complicated right now. And
But on that, we should, in probably 3 to 5 years, we should be done with dirt roads, so all that money can then just go to maintenance.
And that's also along with the money that the county takes in from vehicles, which is it $10 per vehicle?
Yes.
And we use that for county roads as well, correct?
Yeah, when I was at Public Works, I would use that for maintenance on roads that were already resurfaced, so going in and fixing those, not to resurface the dirt roads.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is an appropriate question, but the bridges, I guess there's nothing here for the bridges that are still out. No, yes, no.
No proposals for repairing or replacing bridges, no, ma'am.
Mr. Carpenter, also on this, I guess, questionnaire, comment from a councilperson, they've got on there about the county attorney bidding, being bidded out. Council has nothing to do with it. The attorney does not work for council. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The attorney, the only employees of the council are myself and the clerk. And the attorney is employed by the county administrator. So the county administrator in every county, in fact, councils are not allowed to have an attorney except for very specific purposes. So council is limited in things like that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Carpenter, I understand what you just stated, but that's not my understanding. It was my understanding, and it is my understanding from various sources that county council does select and hire the attorney, the county attorney.
Never
I
mind.
know. Let me finish, please. I understand that there seems to be some confusion, and people, various people have said they do and they don't. So I'm going to ask the question of previous council members: who hired the last attorney? The present attorney, county attorney.
Mr. Morgan?
Yeah,
That would have been Clay Killian.
Clay Killian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, who?
That and this is for informational
That would
purposes.
have been Laura then.
Again,
I'm sure it was the administrator.
there's no confusion with me, so I'll leave it there. And that was the sending out the county attorney's position, the Fairfield County Attorney's position, was initiated by me, and for the reasons that are stated in the handout that I shared with each council member. In 2024, this county paid the county attorney and their firm. It's not just the county attorney. The county attorney is a partner in a law firm, and they was paid $411,000, $489.60. In 2025, it was $286,505.46. 26, $203,601.10. Budgeted for 2027, $200,000. The numbers are suspicious to me. Being someone who's worked in a legal profession all his life and worked with law firms, sole practitioners, as well as big law firms, I've never seen these kind of numbers before. So that's why I was recommending that we bid out the county attorney's position for a sole practitioner, one individual, a law firm that practices in the areas that would be beneficial to us, like water and sewer, corporate law, as well as electric and energy issues. And sole practitioners could serve us better financially, I think, and particularly in the billing area. And that is my recommendation, is that we, and you can put that on the list for motions, if you would please, to bid out for a new county attorney.
Mr. Carpenter, and I don't know the numbers that Mr. Bell, I see it on the sheet, was paid to entirely Mr. Morgan's law firm, or was it paid to all of our attorneys that represent Fairfield County? A lot of times people get that confused, is they think when they see attorney, they think Mr. Morgan's law firm is receiving all those funds, and it actually is not. It's any attorney that has to help Fairfield County in any matter, correct?
And again, we're going back to 24, and so that was several different staff people ago. So what I would, based on what I believe I understand we were doing, is we just had a catch-all account for attorney services. And county attorney would have been every attorney service we received going in that, and it was then, I think maybe under the 08 fund, the general, basically our general expenses fund. It might have been under the administrator's fund at that point. So that's my understanding of what we did, but also what sometimes will inflate a cost, because I've had to deal with this in attorneys' offices before, is if a settlement is reached and a check is cut, and sometimes that goes through the attorney's office themselves. So it reflects a payment to that firm for whatever that settlement was. It might be purchasing land, it might be a confidential whatever. I don't know what the necessary reason, but sometimes something like that will inflate it as well, and that got put into it. So what I would suggest is, Mr. Bell, I'll ask staff if we can kind of sit down and go back several years and just give you a better sense for what we did do. I mean, what's happened in the past, so at least helps us understand that. And then, again, going forward, we'll just see where we go.
Thank you. This questioning and this issue is a matter of budgeting. Attorney's fees can be exorbitant. I realize that. And when I look at the budget, I don't assume that it's just one attorney, no one law firm. And I don't want to make that clear. But overall, the attorney fees to me are exorbitant based on my experience and background. So we'll cover that at not another time, but we can address that and make that one of the issues that come up for a motion. I don't want to elongate it.
Well, Mr. Carpenter, I would also say, a sole practitioner law firm versus a law firm that has multiple attorneys probably would be better beneficial, because those attorneys probably would have more areas of expertise than just having one attorney that that probably would have to reach out to other attorneys on matters that they wasn't familiar with. Also, I would ask another question, as I did before: what research has been done on surrounding counties to see how their attorney process is handled? Once again, I'll tell you, I've done my research, and Chester County has their own full-time attorney that does not practice outside of their county. It's just one attorney that they hired full-time that is considered a county employee. So, research needs to be done on what better benefits Fairfield County. Thank you.
In response to Mr. Pauly's statement just now, I've done my research. And secondly, when you choose a boutique law firm which specializes in specific areas, in the areas I've just mentioned, they can cover anything that a major law firm can cover. When you choose a major law firm and there are partners involved, let me make this very clear so it's understood. The partners are also included in that building situation, and you have attorneys who are billing for paralegal time, paralegal hours, legal secretary hours, as well as the attorneys who may be working on a specific case. In a sole practitioner boutique law firm, there's only one person, and usually a paralegal or a secretary, working on the case, and they specialize in the specific area.
Mr. Carpenter, if you would just talk with Mr. Morgan and see exactly how his billing is, to give council a further understanding on how everything is billed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next, lobbying fees. I see that from the memo that Mr. Carpenter submitted on August the 13th, 2025. I take it that the law firms of Pocapo and the lobbyists who work with them have their contract has come to an end June 1st, 2026. Okay. Is there any intention to renew their contract for any length, and if so, for how long?
They'll be addressing the council the next meeting to give an update on that, And then from there, recommendations will be made, do we continue forward for another year based on what they've been doing and council's desire, whether there's still being value received or not.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, community and schools have requested $30,000 to assist them in continuing their services to the county.
Again, Ms. Sabella, if you'd like to make that as a motion for the budget, because I did not put them in this budget.
I would. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, mental health requests, loan forgiveness. What is the status on that?
Would be a decision the council would make to forgive a loan that was made some years ago to the, I think it's behavioral health, not mental health. And that was council-driven. It's just a decision of the council to or not to do it. And so if council wishes to put that on an agenda at some point in the future, I'll be glad to do that.
Can you remind us of what that amount was?
$500,000? Okay.
It states that the council gave behavioral health $500,000 to help with building a new building, and that if they ever decided to sell the building, that I guess it would be, I can't remember the exact terms, whether it would be prorated or if they were to refund council the whole $500,000. I think behavioral health does a good job. They've been here forever. They have no intention of selling the building. They're not going anywhere. I don't have any issue with it being, I think it shows on their books. It's like Fairfield County has this holding over their head. And I don't have any issue with it being forgiven, because I know behavioral health is not going anywhere.
Mr. Chair, can we just go ahead and put this on the agenda so we can kill this at one time? Because we went, it's twice, last year we was going over there, and let's see, can we put it on the agenda? Yeah, and let's put it on there and see, can we, get rid of it?
We could put it on the next agenda for all, I mean, unless there's some reason I'm not aware of, we could do it then.
Let's put it on there so we can vote and make sure this can be.
Motions list of all the other motions?
No, I want this on the agenda so we can go ahead and take care of it one way or the other.
Thank you, Mr. West.
I guess the next one, Mr. Carpenter, is council/district accounts, monies for district events. If this is what I think it is, this has been voted down numerous times in the past, and it's giving money to certain districts to be able to spend in your districts. And it has long been regarded as a vote buying account by council members to be able to use it to buy votes with. I would be strongly against this. We all get a salary by Fairfield County to represent our district. If you want to do something in district, use your money that you get from your salary, and don't try to get more money from the taxpayers.
Mr. Pauly, I'm the one who questioned this. I spoke to Mr. Carpenter about it some time ago, and it was just a question for the most part, and I said I would bring it to full council. And it never really crossed my mind one time that I would be using my money or you all using your money to buy votes. And thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it, because I never considered it. And it is a possibility. It is a possibility. My concern is because I do quite a bit in my district, as some of you know, because you've attended the events. And that money comes out of my pocket. And I have no problem with that. I just thought if there was a chance or a possibility that each one of us could have something more, something added to the budget that we have presently for classes, travel, schools, what have you, we could utilize any extra, to show our appreciation in our districts and bring people together. Because every time, even with town halls, every time I have something, the money comes from me. And I have no problem with that. I just thought I'd make that mention of that and get a council vote on it. So that can go on the list as well. Good meeting, good meeting.
Anything else?
Next question, economic development. Mr. Carpenter, could you explain what 60K for landscaping services is?
Yes, sir. What we did is we went out and got quotes for maintaining the landscaping in the 3 existing industrial parks. We have Walter Brown 1, Walter Brown 2, and the, the current industrial park that the BOMAG is in. Those parks have really not been maintained professionally, but especially the, our big park is our prime spot. And, that's one of the things I noticed I got here is it just didn't look very good. So we went out and got multiple quotes, and those are just quotes. Anything like that would have to go out for bid. But basically, that is to maintain 3 industrial parks throughout the year, winter, spring, summer, fall, multiple cuttings, multiple, weekly visits or bi-monthly visits in all seasons, pruning, mulching, replacing dead plants, things like that. So those are based on the quotes we received, and then they'd go out for bid. So the quotes were in the $40,000 to $45,000 range. So we put in 60 just in case. They came in higher for that. And those include sprinkler systems that, in the Walter Brown case, have not been used in almost 30 years. So getting in and repairing sprinkler systems as well so they can be utilized. We just didn't do a very good job of maintaining those properties. Yes, sir.
And council, before it gets brought out, number 20 on this list, I don't think it's appropriate time. I don't think it's appropriate time. If any council member thinks that issue needs to be addressed, I would recommend that you contact the chairman and address it that way. I don't think that needs to be addressed at this time.
I was going to mention that myself. Thank you very much. I just wanted it on a list so that all council members would know my thoughts concerning this matter, just sharing.
I had just one more thing, Mr. Carpenter. There's way back on page 159 in our budget worksheet, there's a Fund 404 capital project building contingency, and there's for a building contingency fund of $275,000. What is that for? What does that mean, a building contingency fund?
Mr. Goldbach. Basically, what that is for the building contingency fund. That is to, in this case, it was money for the kitchen in the jail. Okay, so that was the cost of replacing all the equipment in the kitchen. And right now, as we're looking to go out for bid, one of the context of these bids is that if a firm comes in, they would probably take on responsibility for replacing that themselves. So right now, that was what that was put in there for when the budget was first being written. But now as we're going further down a path of looking at potentially outsourcing it, that may be part of a contract that they would assume responsibility for replacing that. So that money wouldn't be needed then.
Okay. Is the intent to still keep it in there?
If we don't need to, no. Or transfer it to some other.
We'll know that
part.
before we vote on it, or?
Well, it would have to go out for bid still, and it can't go out for bid until council's
Right,
approved the
okay.
concept. So that may be something that mid-budget year, we just move to another line item or just leave it there and don't spend it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's on page 159, Mr. Pauly, of our budget worksheet that was printed out on June 1st.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else?
Public Information Office and Community Development, their request was $45,000.
Yes, sir. That's the money for what was presented at the last work session last week for the AI support on our website, phone calls, things like that.
And that would come from A&H?
No, sir. No, sir. That's in the administrator's budget right now. Yes, sir.
Carpenter, I don't know if you've been made aware of this, and it's not on a sheet, and council probably has seen it, but the voting registration office and their sign is terrible. Needs a lot of work. The frame that holds it is, all the paint is peeled off. I think the sign itself probably needs some work. And I just ride by there a lot, and I think with voting going on and all that, it's just a bad look. I don't know if y'all noticed it or been made aware of it, but it does look terrible.
We've been working with them mostly on things like security, cameras, stuff like that. That's what they brought to our attention. To fix, upgrade, replace that sign is probably something that we would be able to handle within the budget already. We've got line items to do that. So we should be able to handle that as part of normal day-to-day.
Yeah, it looked like it could be just painted, stripped down, painted, and,
Yeah, some of our signs don't look very good.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just don't get the same one that put that wall up in the courthouse to do it, okay?
Council or the chairman, or the administrator can remind me of this. What was the request from the Veterans Affairs folks?
She had, if I may,
written that down.
she had some questions about the revenues received from the state of South Carolina for veterans offices, which go into the general fund. That's the way it's set up and the way it's done. And then her budget comes from the general fund. So if it goes over what they give, then the county covers that. If it goes under, it stays in the general fund. Then she had some questions about special events and putting on for the veterans and directing funds for that. So there's a meeting set up with her and the finance staff just to help her understand really the accounting of those funds, where they come in, because those funds are not set aside in a separate fund just for veterans use on top of the money the county puts in. Those monies go into the general fund and are used to subsidize the cost of her office. But we rarely don't spend, I think we always spend more than we receive from the state for the purposes of that office, and giving her some thoughts on getting people in the outside as sponsors for some of these events as well.
As a side note, on Veterans Affairs, I've used them twice in the last month, and they've helped me, and they've gotten me answers, whereas I would normally go to the VA in Columbia. So I was quite impressed with their services, and they are on it, knowledgeable, and ready to serve. And I think, and I was asked to help them get that information out, because I know in my district there are quite a few veterans, and before they come to Winsboro, they go to Columbia, when they can come right up here, and they're not aware of that service. So if we could get that information out to the county veterans, we got a service right here in Fairfield County that can help them.
And of course, one of them is that they will transport people to Charleston
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
It's a great service, and you're right. That's something which, of course, I know Gene does such a good job trying to get the word out for people. And this new service, if we do add it, would give us the ability to start really focusing on groups as well.
Mr. Carpenter, do you have any reason to believe with what you heard today, and council can speak on this as well, that we will not be able to get the budget done by July the 1st? Or would we have to put in a resolution to continue it?
I haven't heard anything that would be systemic to that point. A few items that the council would vote to either add or not add, some monies that we would move around within the context of the current budget. I don't see anything that, where revenues are not going to come in to the degree we thought, or expenses are going to significantly exceed what we thought.
And I do see your finance department back there behind us. Thank y'all for being here. Didn't know if they needed to address council on any matter that was discussed today.
Just say thank you, and the sooner the better for us. Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. The sooner the better for us. Go ahead. No, it's okay. I just want to get consensus. Go ahead.
Okay.
We had talked about trying to get get some money for getting some money for getting the health thing, whatever you call it, the doctor's office, open back out there in Jenkinsville. Are we, well, whatever.
So, Ms. Swearingen, what I have in the budget is what we have been giving them, $46,000. They requested a, very significantly greater million-plus kind of investment that there's really no way we could do. I guess the concern is that I would like to see a little more from them in terms of continuity. They've had a lot of turnover in their offices and a lot of questions that I think we need to better understand where they are as an organization as well before we look to significantly commit any of our resources. Plus, I believe the better source for a service like that, especially in the western part of the county, would be looking to those entities that are looking to do business there. So your power companies, your people like that, and have them support. So we have had several conversations in that direction, that's something that they need to be anticipating, the request to them to help keep those services running and reopening again in those. So I think that's a more valid direction to start with. But then once we have a better sense for just what the future is with them and any questions that are out there that are answered, then to see if the council wishes to go forward. At one point, we had put millage on the books for the emergency room, and they were originally asking if they could just get that given to them. But of course, that's not on the books anymore, so council can't just give that to them. But that's kind of the dollar amount that they were thinking of. The county's investment would be is in that seven-figure range, as I understand.
I thought it was like 400,000 that they were asking for.
For a part-time, to reopen on a part-time basis, yes, ma'am, but not on a full-time basis.
Well, part-time out there where we are better than nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, and I know that they're talking about also Ridgeway, and I don't have anything against Ridgeway, but Ridgeway is only 10 miles from here, and we're a whole lot more miles to get here. So if we could just maybe focus on us out there, even 2 days a week.
You ain't 10 miles from Newberry.
Hush. I mean, we could do
So-
part-time for right there.
So what I would, posit to council is that, if this is an item the council wishes to see, looked into seriously, generally at this stage in the budget, what I would do is I would then tell the council, okay, I'll do some research, and within the context of this budget, I would find the necessary money, which would mean taking it from one place and moving it to another versus just adding more money to the budget. So, that would be what I would tell my councils, and I would tell you is if this is the direction council would like me to pursue, first identify where the money could come from without doing, I'm someone who believes in never hurt yourself, so you find it where it's the least painful way to take it out of. And then with that, how I would see it going towards them. So if that's a desire council wishes me to pursue, but right now there is not that kind of money in the budget, so I'd have to find it within this budget and move it over into that line item.
But we wouldn't have to cough up $400,000 just like that, would we?
Not immediately, but we'd have to allocate the funds, whether we spend them or not, we have to allocate them. So the council can't, I mean, you could reopen the budget every month if you wish to, but that's not a very good way to run a business. So you would allocate the funds up front, and if you don't spend them, you don't spend them. So,
Can you look at it?
okay,
Just
sure,
humor me.
okay,
Thank you.
I'm glad to.
Mr. Carpenter, was that, that 400,000, was that just for District 3? Would that be, so what was the amount?
I believe it was for both.
For Ridgeway
Right,
also?
It was part-time hours
Okay.
at.
Okay, because I do know I don't know about there, but the one in Ridgeway thing was well used.
Yeah.
It was very well used, and very well much missed now, I'll tell you that.
And just for informational purpose for the council, and thank you for that information, Mr. Carpenter, and I'm sure you are keeping your ears and eyes, particularly ears, to the ground, because I know that the Eau Claire establishment is lobbying the General Assembly for funds to reopen in the range of $1 million just for the Jenkinsville Center by itself. So we can all keep our eyes on that and see what happens.
And
If
that's
they
somewhat
get
what-
the money, it's good for us.
And that's why I said we need to keep an eye on what's happening, because we don't want to allocate funds and then someone else allocates funds, and trust me, it's going to get spent if we allocate it.
I want to go on record to say that to our finance department, to the director and assistant director, that we really appreciate everything that you've done in order to get this budget together. You spent a lot of time working on this, and you've been asked over and above to do extra things, and I just want to say thank you. I know you've had a lot of sleepless nights trying to get this thing together, but thank you for all of your hard work. I personally want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and to Mr. Carpenter and the rest of the staff, and even to the council. My appreciation for you for all the hard work that we put into this budget. My personal feelings is that I feel like this is, even though we got to make some changes, that this is probably one of the better budgets that I've seen since I've been on council. And I say that sincerely. I think that this is a real workable budget, and I think that with the little tweaking that we are talking about, that we'll have a successful budget here. So thank everyone, and again, Finance Department, thank y'all, and let your staff know that we really appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
And I would like to echo the chairman's sentiments. Thank you.
Having witnessed, me too, having witnessed the process for a number of years now, I'd say this was the most robust, and I too feel pretty good about where we are right now. So thank you all.
If nothing else, can I get a motion?
Chairman, if you don't mind, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
The motion is and second that we adjourn. If there's no question, are you prepared to vote? All in favor? Let the record show 7-0. Workshop is now